Good afternoon, Moree Plains Shire. It's your Mayor Mark Johnson here with some news for you. The good news is, firstly, that the Community Strategic Plan was fully endorsed by Council last week, and on behalf of our Council, I'd like to thank everyone who made significant input to that and gave us some great ideas and direction for that plan. Out of that strategic plan, our next job was to formulate our operational plan, or our budget as I would call it, is setting the financial goals for our next 12 months. So the budget at this stage is indicating a surplus of around $750,000, with General Fund having a surplus of $50,000, Water Fund $400,000 and Sewer Fund $300,000. In terms of the General Fund, always hard to achieve a surplus there because that's where most of our operational activity occurs. So to be able to forecast a surplus at this stage is great news for the Shire. In terms of the Water Fund and Sewer Fund, different stories there. They're bigger surpluses, but they're looking at the infrastructure projects that we have association with the SAP and the like over the next 10 years. So Council's very conscious of trying to set aside and build reserves for those potential projects. Just in terms of what the budget is going to include, there's $77 million of projects that have been allocated to be completed, or certainly commenced and hopefully completed by the end of the financial year. I'll just highlight a few of those for you. $16 million are being spent on rural and urban roads, so that's a good news story in terms of our rural road network. We know that's important to our farming residents, and we'll do our best to continue to spend that level of funding on those infrastructure projects. There's $3.5 million being spent on improved open spaces and sport facilities. $154,000 is being spent on Cooee Park. That includes a basketball court, bike track and associated facilities. In terms of our pools, Boomai's pool is getting an upgrade of $120,000 and $110,000 has been allocated to the Mungandai pool upgrade. So that's great news for those communities. In addition to that, we obviously have the Moree MAC, certainly high on our priority, and it will certainly, hopefully, have much work in the next 12 months as we await those government grants, which I've talked to you about before. But certainly, it remains a priority for this council. Our Moree Airport will receive $63,000 to upgrade that terminal, and that's in preparation for the future expansion of that facility. In terms of the Bruxton Way, there's $1 million being allocated towards that project, and that's coming from the Australian Government Local Roads and Community Infrastructure Program. Pallamallawar isn't forgotten, $150,000 being spent in regards to improving the drainage system at Pally. I think from our Community Strategic Plan days, that was probably the number one priority out there, so hopefully you'll see some improvement in that community. Also for Pally, we've allocated $125,000 to put towards the sewage design work out there for that project, hopefully to occur there in the medium-term future. Our BAM receives $860,000, again from the Australian Government Local Roads and Community Infrastructure Program for upgrades to that facility. And last but not least, I'll mention there's $80,000 being allocated towards the off-leash dog park at Warriella Street. So lots of really good news for our Shire. We're projecting a good solid result, which is important for not only the financial future in the short term, but also the medium long term as we start to consider some of these longer term projects. But I would really encourage you, as you did with the Community Strategic Plan, whilst these plans are out on public submission, to give us your feedback, and Council can take that on board before we adopt those prior to the end of the financial year. So thanks for listening, and take care.